followed closely. And President William Ruto was very vocal on the agriculture sector, but he also spoke on the ethnic emotions. Let me just read that directly for the gentleman in studio. I'm looking at some of the dailies that came after. And at a vibrant Madaraka Day event where key pledges and plans in agriculture sector were unveiled, President sharply tells off or told off politicians whipping up ethnic emotions for their survival amid escalating divisions within the ruling UDA party, an intense scramble for the Mount Kenya by Deputy President and opponents in the region. Might not have been his exact words. I'm reading from a front page of a daily. And of course, if you looked at those dailies on Sunday, you would see that they had the same headline, Ruto's warning shot. Honorable Robert Basil, yet a member of parliament.
Yes,
it's good to see you.
Pleasure, always.
Looking forward to opening remarks shortly. I also want to appreciate Honorable Kimani Ngujiri, who is a former member of parliament, Bahati constituency.
Yes.
All from different, ethnic groups. Honorable Basil Yatta, you're a sitting member of parliament. You're
Correct.
A politician. You go through an article and it says Kenyan politicians are using ethnicity to divide Kenyans, yet to build their votes for the next general election. How does that, make you feel, and what does that mean to you? As first a Kenyan and a member of parliament who, campaigned. I don't know if you used, your ethnic, ethnicity to get to where you are.
First, I don't think I'm a politician.
You're not?
I'm more of a leader, someone who is there to serve.
Okay.
Politicians are associated with the lies and a lot of, insults, that level of messiness which you find in politics. Me, I'm there as a people's servant.
So you don't belong to any political party?
Well, the party,
you're not a politician.
Party is like a vehicle which brings you to parliament.
Okay.
And of course, parties have their ideologies, but me, I'm more of a servant to the people. That's when you use the word politicians. Many people think you're just a liar. Someone out there to spell lies, which I'm not, Ideally, when it comes to use of ethnic affiliations as a platform to be able to ascend to power, I would say, for example, Yatta. Yatta is more of a cosmopolitan constituency. Mm-hmm. We have so many tribes in my constituency. And when I was seeking the opportunity to serve them, mm-hmm. I did not ride on any any ethnic affiliation. I never said simply because I speak my mother tongue, I should be voted on basis of my vernacular, on basis of my ethnic association. But I was elected on basis on what I want to do for them.
All right. Maybe,
and that's why when it comes to service to my people, I don't discriminate in respect to where people come from. I'll not say this one is not a Kamba, so I should not give them bursaries. Or because this particular area is dominated by this particular ethnic group, so I should not take services there. And that is the kind of ideology and approach to leadership that we want to see in Kenya, where you should not serve people based on where you come from. It's so unfortunate, ethnicity and more so negative ethnicity is what is making Kenya to lag behind on matters to the development. You see a state officer who is taking all the budget of the country to people or to areas where his ethnic community come from. We saw it the other day, where the majority leader, for example, Ichungwa, out of the money allocated for roads, for the whole county, he took more than 90% in his constituency.
Substantiated, huh?
Yes, and this is the kind of approach that we should say we should shun away from this. Because if it was not for negative ethnicity, Kenya would today be not even a middle economy, but a first class. Because we have everything what it takes.
All
Look
right.
at Morocco, a country which doesn't have any mineral resources. Today has like 3 times GDP, which is larger than Kenya. And one of the largest, in Africa. If you go to Morocco, you'll find there, the electrified trains.
All right.
Like what you see metros in Eastern Europe and other parts of the world. But look at our country, because of negative ethnicity, disparities on issues to do with development. So there's so much to be done, and we should shun away from that.
And I want to come back to you because I remember the last time we sat, you were speaking of certain projects that were not happening in Yatta. Do you have now tarmac roads in Yatta? Last time we spoke, you were saying you don't have a single tarmac road.
The only tarmac road I have, they are colonial roads.
All right. And
the only 4 kilometers, which I got from through devolution from the former governor.
So a few months later, nothing yet?
Yes, nothing. No, years from 1963.
Okay.
That's why 61 years when people are celebrating Madaraka Day, my people could not celebrate because most of the roads are in very deplorable states because of negative ethnicity.
All right, I want to come back to you because we want to dig deeper into this. Thank you for also letting us know what's happening on the ground as a sitting member of parliament, Honorable Kimani Ngujiri, former member of parliament, Bahati constituency. Yes. I mean, let's hear your opening remarks to this matter. We've had some very dark moments as a country. And I think even as Kenyans are watching this morning, and even the president speaking on the national prayer breakfast, he still speaks of unity and he says it does not matter which an ethnic group voted for him. He's going to serve this country as it should be. They all deserve the rights as per the Constitution. Honorable Ngujiri.
But you see the problem we have in this country. Nobody did an application to be born as a Mukamba, as a Kikuyu, as a Luo, as the other person. No. And we should not challenge God for how we were created. God created us. Ngunjiri is from Nyanza, or is from Central, or Rift Valley. You can't ask God why did he create my brother here to be in Ukambani. And he's happy for leading the people of Ukambani. You can't say that people in Nyanza, why they are there. That's about God. So let's not follow that because we only do that when we want to do politics.
Why? Why only when you want to do politics?
You'll be able to whip your votes on the party, on the tribalism. Those are the things will make you have maybe, and those are the bad politicians. As my brother is saying here, it doesn't matter. You can even be taken. He is now elected in Ukambani. He can go in Rift Valley and show his policy and be elected. And that's why we want to teach our people also to understand.
But has that happened in the history of this country? No. You would come from Central and get elected in Nyanza?
That's the problem here. Okay, some areas, like in Iroiro, like in Kiambu, you go and get somebody from Nyanza elected as MCA.
Right.
In some areas. And it's a good picture for coming that way, if we can be able to follow that. Because if we don't do that, the people want to be served. The people want to be given services which they need. As he is saying roads, you get in some constituency, which is true, because of the problem of the person who is maybe leading as a minister in that ministry, you take a lot of money on his side. And that's where now you start people saying there is a tribalism. You can only see it and be mentioned when they see the resources going in one side. Now people will start saying now that region is which tribe? Now they'll start talking about that tribe. But there's nothing wrong to be born where you were born. And God knew where we are born and when we are there. Nobody did application, even you, Mami. You did not do application to be born where you are. So that is something we should actually leave it behind us completely and think as Kenyans. Serve where you are, serve in the good. I served in Bahati for 10 years.
All right.
I've never done anything taking the penny of those people, even a shilling. I was satisfied with my salary. I did things which they are crying now. And I'm enjoying myself because I did the best for what I'm supposed to do. But I still blame Wanjiku. How does Wanjiku elect his leader?
Okay.
When he was being elected where he was born or where he was brought up. They know him. They know how his habit. They know his movement. They know whether he's a good person. They'll be able to actually vote the best person. But Wanjiku votes with money. Sometimes, and I know my brother can support me on that, you get voters just almost in the door of the voting polling station. And they're just standing there, okay, one of them is coming. Unatakaje? What do you want to you? We are here. Can you come and talk with us? No, you see, when we are saying there's corruption in top, even down, there's a lot of corruption.
It starts with the voters.
It starts with the voters, because if you elect a good person, then you are suspecting what? Good services.
What would happen if you withheld this money from the voters? If all politicians decided to withhold this money from the electorate?
It will be very
possible?
good, but
it's a culture that has been cultivated.
It cannot work. Because my brother, if he doesn't do that, I'll do that where I am.
All right.
Then I'll defeat him, because I've given money and people have voted for that. And that is the education we want actually to take our people. Very much. Tribalism, and also to be elected by the window of the party. You know, the party will take you nowhere. It's not the party who is going to work for you. It is the individual whom we have elected. He's going to work for you.
Will serve you.
And he's going to serve you and give you the services.
All right.
So there are a few things we need a lot of education. But because the corruption we have in Kenya, it is cancer. It is more than cancer disease.
Now, I don't want to go into corruption. There is corruption, because I want to hear from Basil. The 1 man, 1 vote, 1 shilling. This is where I think there's a bit of concern, because there's a certain region, let me just say the mountain, where that has gotten us this conversation now. I mean, if you follow closely the political analysis, it is the 1 man, 1 vote, 1 shilling debate, talking of betrayal by the reigning government, saying certain the projects that are supposed to be happening in the mountain are probably going to get stalled or don't have enough funding or something of the sort. I mean, why is that debate a problem?
First, I want to tell you, we have our constitution. Article 10 of the constitutions, subarticle 2B, talks of equality and equity in governance and service delivery. Any person talking of 1 man, one vote, 1 shilling, that's someone who is misplaced and who doesn't understand what they're supposed to do. In Kenya, minorities have a space and should get a chance to also serve. If you do ethnic profiling of appointments done by this government, you find, for example, to give you an example of KRA, the recent recruitment, 57% went to 2 tribes. And they only centered on, these tribes came from the centers of authority, which is so unfortunate. Instead of employing meritocracy, where you employ people based on their qualifications and experience, we are appointing people based on where these people come from and where the leaders come from. And it has started from 1963. This is not something which is happening now. If you ask yourself, why do people compete for top leadership? Basically, it's because services are more skewed to where the person in leadership, top authority, comes from.
But that's not what the Constitution says.
We have a constitution where we all took oath of office to respect and abide by the Constitution. But unfortunately, that seems to be more hypothetical than practice. People don't seem to apply the Constitution. And that is the reason why people fight for top leadership. Devolution try to mitigate this. Because through devolution, the 47 counties, at least money is allocated to all of them. And that brings some level of equality to bridge the gap when it comes to the level of differences when it comes to development. But again, when it comes to sharing the national cake, there is so much to do with ethnicity, negative ethnicity, where the center of authority comes from. And as a country, and as a patriot, anyone listening to this, let's shun away from tribalism. And the Kenya will be on the path to development and progression. Me, I'm happy. I've lived in so many countries. I've worked with so many people across the globe. And I've seen there's so much potential in Kenya. The only reason why we are not moving forward is because we carry with us our tribal mindset. If me and you, for example, leave Kenya, and any person who is not a Kenyan will say, I've seen 2 Kenyans. We are more united when we are out of the country.
All right.
But when we are within the country, we are so divided along tribal lines or ethnic lines.
All right.
And this is ailing this nation. It may take another 40 years if we don't be the change. Remember, we have taken 61 years with still negative ethnicity. Because we are celebrating 16 years, since we attained 61 years, since we attained internal self-rule from the British colony. If we don't change the trend, it will be another 21 years, another 61 years. That will be 122 years lost.
Now,
so we need, these are waking call. All Kenyans, let's shun away negative ethnicity. Let's embrace all Kenyans, regardless of where you come from. If you're a state officer, apply the Constitution. Article 10 is so clear.
I say Article 10 is so clear. Before I hear from Honorable Gujiri, we have a number of bites we want to play, so that if you missed this during the Madaraka Day, this is what the president had to say on this matter. Remember, they say we have a number of symbols of unity in this country, the president being one of them, the national flag, the anthem, among others. But this is what he had to say on the Madaraka Day.
Tulio viongozi, tusitembee barabara telezi ya kugawanya wa Kenya kwa misingi ya kabila.
Hatutaki tulete ukabila kwa Kenya, na bali Mheshimiwa Rais ndio anasimamia taifa nzima, Afrika nzima kwa mambo ya amani.
Honorable Gujiri, the president is very clear
you see,
on this matter.
What Mudavadi is saying there doesn't make sense to me.
Does not make sense.
He's just being sycophant there because he knows he's been carried. Yes, he knows he's been carried. He has no vote in his ward. He is actually MCA is elected with ODM, MP, MD, another party. All other people. He must talk what the president is saying there. But let me tell you, anybody, and I challenge you, my brother, I will not agree with you. The issue of saying one man, one vote, one shilling. A very simple question I want to ask. We are three of us here.
Right.
Did you vote?
Yes.
I voted. You voted. Why do you want to take more my shilling? You may take more, me I may take less. We are here, three of us.
How do you know who's taken more? We have a constitution.
Yeah, that's now what we are saying.
All right.
We are not saying the population. No. We are saying one man, one vote, one shilling. We voted, we three of us. This is 3 shilling here, kept here. Why do you want to get more and me get less? Let's be equal, all of us with that 1 shilling. Because what we need, for example, like somewhere like Turkana, is so potential. There's oil, there is what, and they demanded they want 25% because oil comes from them. They have right to do that. And the government should put money there so that they can be able to lift them and to lift that place so that even other people can go in those areas to do something. This country, there is money for equalization. It is there. Let me tell you, and he is the member of parliament. There are members of the parliament who are getting 2 million shillings for mileage. 2 million per month for mileage. When the people who are walking around here who goes home like him, maybe every weekend, he must go home every weekend. He cannot get that kind of money. And when he goes home, he is disturbed by his people. Every day, they are disturbing him. And in the best of, even if they don't get that enough money, but when he goes home, he shares with his people. There's problem of water, he is there. He's also suffering. He is suffering because of security, he is also around there. These people are hearing even getting 2 million when others are getting nothing in the mileage. They don't go home. They stay for 6 months. I had one MP who was telling me, I stay here for 6 months. I go with 12 million. When I go there, I go Harambee about 5 with a chopper and come back. This is what we are saying. We must make sure that also the politics is about interest.
All right.
It's about interest. How should I tell my people that I cannot be able to get this and you voted? Let me ask you a question. You have voted with how many votes in your place?
27,000.
27,000. Jenny Kihara Naivasha registered voters 240. 240. That means those are the people who are there. 240. But you want to share the same. 240,000 people. 100 people. 240,000. You are elected with 27. Even you are lucky. There are some areas they are elected with 6,000. And when they are elected by 6,000, when you say 1 shilling, 1 kilometer, are we giving the land money? What we need to do, let me just finish. What we need to do is to make sure those areas, it can be developed in a good way so that it can be able to produce something. Even in your areas, there are some things good which can help this country.
All right.
We need to invest with the money, but not saying that one man, 1 shilling, 1 kilometer. I disagree with that at all.
It's a bit contradictory. Eh? My brother, Mheshimiwa Fobati, former MP, because last year has agreed with what I was saying. If you look at since independence, you do profiling and you get baseline data, the areas which have enjoyed more services than others. I would give you an example. There are constituencies which have infrastructure. If you talk of tarmac road, 90% tarmac road compared with other constituencies that have almost 2% of tarmac road. If you talk of health services, there are constituencies with, let's say, 80% of very sophisticated, modern health infrastructure, when others lack nothing. So services should be distributed based on levels of development. Because as I told you, from 1963, those who took government from the colonial masters, most of them went with those tribal mindsets. And that's why, as I've told you, the reason why there was agitation for devolution was to bring some level of parity within governance. And that has been achieved to some extent by devolution. But there's so much that is lacking. So if you talk of population-wise, that should not be the only way to decide how to distribute resources. Because the areas with the more potential to open the economy, I'm talking of, if you talk of areas close, let's say the Turkana areas where you are close to Ethiopia. Remember, that is a region, if you improve infrastructure, you'll actually link the two countries. But if you base your argument on population, Turkana will get nothing.
I'm sorry to interject.
That's why
sometimes, for example,
we are not saying about the population. We are talking about one man, one vote, not population.
Those who voted, that's what he's arguing. But you see,
voted.
there are people, now look at now currently, to get your voter's card, ID, you have to get 1,000 for replacement of ID. If you come from a poor area where majority of the voters cannot raise that 1,000, they are making comparison. Do I buy food or do I use money to get ID? Someone will say food comes, supersedes the ID.
All right.
And in such an area, if you use basis on how many people can vote, you find you have a population who cannot vote. Not because they don't know how to vote, but they cannot afford to even get an ID, which is a prerequisite for you to get a voter's card. So there are some measures or approaches used deliberately to deny or to reduce numbers of voters in certain areas or certain quotas.
I'm curious if these conversations have arose in the House. You sit in Parliament.
No, but
you put it aside as some of the political dances, conversations and not in the House.
When you go to Parliament, and he can tell you, there's something called ranking members.
Okay.
I may have my ideas, but I'm not given a chance to speak. And if I'm given a chance, sometimes you are directed by what you call order paper.
Yes.
If you are bringing something which is not within the order paper, you have to lobby, and people have to, where you make an adjournment to the order paper. And it doesn't mean many of the people agree to what you're saying. Sometimes you find you are limited on the degree to which you can make this level of contributions, because standing orders limit us, particularly the first-time members of Parliament. You go there, you are like a mono in high school, you know.
All right.
So there's so much, and we are actually agitating. I'm the chair for all first-time members of Kenya.
Okay.
And we had a special sitting with even the speaker himself.
We
told him there's so much discrimination happening based on standing orders. And it's the high time we need to understand everyone elected here is elected by the people on equal basis.
All right.
Not issues of saying these are ranking member, someone comes 5 or 4 hours after I've already been there, but is given first chance to contribute when we are already in the House.
All right, so even to hear that is a bit disheartening, that there could be some sort of discrimination in the National Assembly, in the House.
It is happening, that's a fact.
I mean, keep sending in your thoughts on YouTube and on social media. The conversation is all about, does the common mwananchi understand that in position that there are, and there's a difference between ethnicity and tribalism. You are from an ethnic group, doesn't make you a negative human being. When it crosses tribalism, it could be a major concern. Let me appreciate Kennedy Ondiek, who is the South Nyanza Coordinator, UDA. It's good to have you on the show, but if you will allow me, so that you can start by commenting on this tweet by the CS Interior, Professor Kithure Kindiki, on this matter. his voice is very important. On the screen, he's saying the mobilization and incitement of ethnic communities against each other is barbaric, cruel and dangerous political misadventure that poses grave danger to our country's future. This is a very recent tweet. Just follow closely. And I want to also look at how it continues to the second paragraph. He says, Kenya's ugly past experience with ethnical brood violence should jolt all of us, whatever tongue we speak and whichever part of the country we come from, to resist and to name and shame the propagators of ethnic hate and the us versus them narrative that nearly destroyed Kenya in December and January of 2007, 2008. I want to quickly just complete this tweet. This is CS Interior saying, grateful to President Ruto for reminding us in his address to the nation today, that is on the Madaraka Day, to eschew the ethnic politics as the sure way of shielding ourselves from taking the slippery path of hate that has destroyed many countries. Our common survival, the unity of Kenya and the security of our homeland supersedes any other loyalties that we may be tempted to pursue. Kennedy.
Thank you, Anki. I'm very sorry to have been late. I thought I was scheduled for this show tomorrow in the morning. But I realized that I was supposed to be here this evening. But I have had my seniors trying to deliberate on the equitable distribution of resources based on our current structure of the country. I want to start from where you want me to comment in respect of the tweet that was done by the CS Interior. The most important thing we have to understand as a country is that our history supersedes our future. In fact, we are supposed to understand where we're coming from, where we are, and where we're headed to. As a country, we have suffered seriously because of ethnic segregation. And you realize that there are certain names that were not able to be given certain jobs just because they belong to a particular ethnic group. And I think that...
That is in history or today?
No, that is in history. Okay. And I think in the President William Ruto's regime, despite the challenges that still come, because many people find themselves originating from different ethnic backgrounds, so they have affiliation to some particular regions, I think there's a lot that has been done in ensuring that as a people, we embrace togetherness. But you know,
a lot has been done. Like what, Honorable? You know, you can't just say a lot has been done.
Ensuring that every person is able to access opportunities that are available. For the first time, we saw a Luo being the KDF in this country. You know, a Luo who has never been a KDF in this country.
Are you speaking of the late?
Yes, the late Ogola. That was a very serious step that we had as a people. And in fact, even this ministry, which is the Interior, for the second time now, we're having a Luo being there. There's a reason why all of us as a people have to appreciate the fact that we are coming from a dark history and we have to reform it going forward. Personally, I am not going to be so much inclined into reasoning as to the past, but I want to look at what is actually happening. One, as a people, we must first of all understand that when you look at the employment matrix, for example, we look at the communities that are large in numbers. You know, probability of having one from that community is higher than getting a probability of that another individual coming from another community. So personally, I want to say that as a people, we must first of all look at the equitable distribution of resources, because the state has three roles. Number one, to develop resources. Two, to ensure that these resources are promoted for purposes of self-preservation. And finally, that these resources are equitably distributed. You know, we have to ensure that they are distributed in a manner that satisfies demands of different regions. I was watching when my seniors were talking because I was coming, so I said I needed to be privy. We have been with him in different shows. I've not been with him.
Yes.
But I can tell you when he was talking about the one man, one vote, as was demanded by the Deputy President, Livestream Gachagua, there are certain aspects that when you look at it as being one man, one vote, if you go to Northeastern, when they talk about 1 kilometer, one vote, they all reason depending on where they come from. Yes. I come from the Lake region, where I will not look at the 1 kilometer, I will not look at one man, but I will look at amalgamation of the two so that we have equitable distribution and not equal. Obviously, nationally, we can't have the national cake equally distributed because it can never be equal. But the only thing we can always strive to succeed in achieving is equitable distribution so that when we are employing teachers, for example, we need to look at regions which have so many graduates compared to regions with low number of graduates, then we give them opportunities in an equitable manner. But if you look at one man, one vote, I will refuse. That one man, one vote may not apply depending on where a person comes from. So when you look at development areas, we must look at them in terms of what is the value of this particular development activity going to be implemented in one particular area, rather than just looking at the numbers. Sometimes when you just look at the numbers, you may miss in terms of geographical structure and the stratum of that particular region. So personally, I look at more of inclusive approach rather than singular approach. That is, we are many, we need more. You know, when you look at we are many, we need more, yet there are some people who are few, but they are very far-flanked areas that they also need much more capital investment in terms of road infrastructure and water infrastructure.
All right, so let me hear from Honorable Mungujiri. You have spoken.
I think we are getting away with the tweet which you have put here.
Yeah, I want us to talk about that because Honorable Mungujiri, you see, in Kenya, I'm made to understand. You vote your person so that the whole ethnic community, we're going to say it as it is, gets to eat. You remember the shareholder conversation that really agitated Kenyans?
Time to eat.
All right? Saying, yes, you're saying it is your turn to eat. This is negatively going to affect generations to come. It is a style of politics that seems to be embraced in the country. The CS Interior is very firm on this matter, saying we don't want to go back to the very dark moments of 2007, 2008. Let's not drift from the persons who drive the system.
Let me ask you, where is he coming from when he's talking that? Can you try to get what is coming when he's saying that? Where is he coming from now to say that? What have happened? Who is putting the Benedict we are talking about here? You are not showing us who talked to that. They are just talking for something they are creating, but we don't know. You could have brought us who is talking in a different way on the tribalism or something. Then now we can be able to discuss.
Let's try and follow Honorable Mujiri. You have followed, I know you're in this country, you follow the politics, and we do not want to speculate. But there's a time the deputy president was in a different function, and Sudi was in a different function. There seemed to be a back and forth here and there based on certain people in certain regions or tribes being used to hit the office of the deputy president. Those are tribal or ethnic lines, if anything was to come by.
That's
so
what
is
I've
it
told
drawing
you.
from that?
Come out on how it is started so that now it can be discussed.
Okay.
Because
Limuru 3.
Limuru 3, let me tell you, there's one thing I will not agree. I was born as a Kikuyu. I did not apply to be born as a Kikuyu myself. I don't know how I was born. I am a Kikuyu and I'm there. When other tribes meet, there's no problem. But when Kikuyus meet, there's a problem. And that is something that has been carried many years by many people. Nyanza people meet, no problem. They talk about themselves, about their culture, they do that. Ukambani, they meet. Although Ukambani is Yonagi sana mkikutana, I don't see more meeting. But all other people meet and talk and do their culture and all. But when Kikuyu meet...
Is it the meeting or the agenda of the meeting?
You see, you know about that meeting, I was not supporting the Limuru 3.
All right.
But as a clever mzee, I was waiting. Let them talk so that we can know what are they talking about. Let people talk so that you can be able how to handle what are they trying to say. Like now, I got about two things or three. One, they did not have any agenda. It was politics. Because the two issues I got there is to abuse the president and to abuse the deputy president. And they did it. Those two things. If they had agenda, and a serious agenda, and I want you to understand me, I stand from both sides when I see something going wrong. If they had a good agenda of what they are saying, the economy and all those things, they could have written agenda, then take to the system. If they are from Mount Kenya, then they could have taken to Gachagua, then Gachagua will take maybe to the cabinet. But now they met. So what after that? What have happened? Nothing. So that one was political. I agree it was political.
All right.
But don't refuse to people to talk. Let them talk so that we can understand how maybe to cure them or the injection you can give them, or understand them, so we can be able to implement things. You get it? But when people meet, then we start challenging only Kikuyus when they meet. And I will repeat that several times. When other people meet, there is no problem. When people meet, it's Mongeke. When the Kikuyu meets, they have agenda. Which agenda? Listen to them. Nobody will refuse to talk. Nobody will refuse to meet. Like now in Ukambani, if you call me and I come there, I will come as Aguji as your friend. I will listen, and I will listen to the culture which is going on there. And those are the things we need to balance. We don't want just to hit other people. Like now the police we have been having, Nyanza people are bad, Leader Odinga is bad. That thing was put to the community of Kikuyu inside, until Kikuyu believed that Leader Odinga is bad. But when we ask him, what has he done? There is nothing.
All right.
It's just things was put politically to other tribes that these people are not good.
You know,
but they are not, there's nothing like that.
I wanted to, one, from the statement made by the president, I fully agree with him that Kenya should not allow themselves to be divided along tribal lines. However, that is ethnic groups or ethnic tribes. I mean ethnic communities.
Yes.
But I tend to disagree. I agree on his statement.
Okay.
But I tell him he needs to walk the talk. If you look at the appointments that he did after he was sworn to office, when he was forming his government, if you do profiling, I'll take an example of PS. Out of all the PS that were appointed by him as the appointing authority, 70% went to colleges. 20% were shared by the others. So it's more of an hypothesis where you speak, you drink, you tell people not to drink wine, but behind the shows, you are drinking wine. So in reality, if we could lead by example and walk the talk, then Kenya would be on the path of progression. If you ask him what he was saying and why, I want to tell him why people talk when Kikuyus come together.
Okay.
From in history, and if you look at the chronology of events when it comes to voting, Kikuyus have been known to vote as a bloc.
Yes.
You saw it in 2022. They all voted for Ruto.
They all or majority?
90%. If you talk of 90%, the other number becomes negligible.
Respect the one Kenyan who did
the other
not
negligible when it comes to research.
Okay.
You look at the numbers. If you go in historically and you do review of the voting pattern of Kikuyus as an ethnic group, they vote as a bloc. And that's when they come together to discuss, it sends a message to the rest of the communities. And that is the reason why I would say since 1963, many people would say Kikuyus have been a bit, I'm not trying to paint any picture,
okay,
but that's a fact. Where they say if they want this person, they all go with that particular person. But if you look at the other communities, ethnic communities, there's a bit of democracy when it comes to alignments and all that. And that's the simple reason why you look at any political alignment, Kikuyu becomes a very essential factor.
Do you think this can change? He actually said...
We want to have it changed. Because
How?
If we change and think as a country, not on basis of where we come from, Kenya, as I've told you, would be on the path of development and equitable development.
But
if we know...
Even in Ukambani, Kalonzo is there. They vote as a bloc.
And personally, I think that there's no day, Mheshimiwa, that
I didn't finish, but you came...
All right, because we're running out of time.
Okay, there's no day we'll ever presume that Kenyans, as a people, will ever move together in terms of a decision-making. Because we see, we are in a Republican democratic system where we vote periodically after every 5 years. And in these 5 years, we always entrust a particular persons or a particular group of people with the governance of the country, upon which we are supposed to make decisions as to whether they have performed to our expectations or failed to meet our expectations. It doesn't matter where a person comes from.
Really, Honorable Kennedy, let me just bring this up to your attention because today's real talk.
Yes.
We've seen analysts profile who has headed, the country, as CEO of the country. They say this from this region, next same region.
Okay.
And now they're saying, hopefully, and that is even happening with the AUC chair.
Okay.
They came out and said, let's give it to East Africa this time. Is there a problem with that?
He's a member of parliament. He has served as a member of parliament. And obviously, when you campaign, basically, Anki, you will one day be in politics. You will realize that there are certain individuals who are part and parcel of you while you're struggling for that particular position.
Yes.
It is not wrong to have them, a larger portion of them, being part of you when you are going to implement your agenda, because they are the people who understand your agenda. When we had Azimio, we cannot keep our head in the cocoon and pretend that the Luo, Kamba, and this coastal region people who are supporting Azimio can be quickly enjoined into the William Ruto government, for example, when actually they had a different agenda. It comes to, that's now where tribalism comes in, when it comes to appointments. Because if we have an individual who is running for position, I'm not propagating this, but I'm telling you, even myself now, I am a UDA coordinator of South Nyanza region. If William Ruto gets to power again, he will have to consider maybe me because I am fighting for his cause.
Exactly.
You know, there are certain realities. What I'm saying, even you, if Kalonzo Musyoka would have, if Kalonzo Musyoka would have been the president first, you would have looked at your loyalty to him.
Loyalty before merit?
Yeah, but let me tell you, Otieno Kajwang once said, Anki, Otieno Kajwang once said, the late Otieno Kajwang once said, infidelity, fidelity and loyalty is very important when you are being selected for particular things, because you cannot go working with an individual who you actually had the contradicting agenda.
Exactly.
So basically, when you look at this skewed form of employment, and we talk about the shareholding, I don't fault Gachagua for that, because you see, you must be a shareholder of something for which you worked.
All right, gentlemen, I know I'm running out of time.
Adding that, my sister, I'm supporting my brother, what he's saying. He's really being very, very, very fair.
Yes.
Because, you see, if there is a government, I've been in the politics for 35 years. And I'll tell you something I've seen very interesting and very good in this government with our president. He have appointed people from other tribes in a bigger way, which other government have never done.
Fairness, fairly?
Ukambani, there's nobody we got there. He has given them
Luo.
minister. He has given them PS.
I want to correct you.
Let me just finish.
You can't say the president got no vote in Ukambani.
Okay.
For you to be a president, you have to meet minimum threshold.
In our area, he got, in our area, he got 0.3%.
You know, in Nyanza,
He got 0.3%.
and he has given ministers.
In
He has given the most.
He has given us PS interior.
PS very strong interior. Actually, we are Kikuyus.
Yeah.
Me, I'm a Kikuyu. And if there's a president who has given seats, remembering the Kikuyu in the diaspora, in Rift Valley, it is this government.
Yeah.
We have people like us, we are there in the government. He has given many people PS, many people in the other ministries. And when even our people, Kikuyu, when they were leading this government, Kikuyus in the Rift Valley, they were getting nothing. So we can say on the balancing, this president have tried. You look for the ambassadors. Go and do analysis.
You look at ambassadors, CEOs, MDs.
He has tried to give all the tribe. What he wanted to do.
You know what I'm trying to tell my brother.
Let me finish, my brother. He wanted to bring the face of Kenya. You know, there are two things.
He wanted to. Is he making it?
He's trying, yes.
Really
He's trying
so
very
Mount
much.
Kenya should settle and wait.
Yeah.
Kenya, why are you saying to wait? Wait what? We still
It
have
is
our
happening.
cut. We still have our cut. They have their cut.
Mount Kenya, they have the deputy
Let me
president,
speak to
they have
Honorable
ministers,
Bukuri.
they have MDs, they have CEOs, they
All
have,
right. So
including the current KDF.
In fact, if you look at the people who are messing, when you are saying the budget,
Gentlemen, let's have order on this
just a
table.
minute. When you're talking about the budget,
So that I can hear from
actually, agreeing the truth, when you're talking about the budget, which is going on, which people are
we only have 10 minutes.
You look, the minister, treasury is a Kikuyu.
Kikuyu.
Is it true?
Ndungu.
Ndungu is a Kikuyu. It goes to the cabinet.
Yes.
Cabinet, you can say there are many people that can be checked out.
The budget chair is Kimani Ichung'wah.
He comes to Kimani Ichung'wah.
Yes.
He comes after that to Dede Nyoro.
Ndindi Nyoro.
Yes. So you can see he has tried to give the other communities opportunity of what we are crying.
All right. Honorable Basil.
I want to educate my brother when he talked of the military. you must know there's something called Daudi Tonje rules.
Right, yes.
Which indicate very well on a rotational
who's
basis
next? Yes.
of the chief, you know, the commander-in-chief when it comes to the forces. So it was inevitable. The person on the line came from the Luo community. That does not mean the president wanted to get a Luo person.
But he did speak to it, said he was very competent.
Yeah, because it was more, of course, he qualified based on qualification. But that was the rule, the Daudi rules, Daudi Tonje rules. For him who doesn't seem to be informed.
No, Daudi Tonje rules.
So you gave you chance. So these are the rules that apply.
He's right.
But honestly, guys, don't think of your people. Think of the whole country. We have very minority communities. We have Ogieks who have never got a slot in any government. You know, that doesn't mean they don't have qualified people there. What you want is a country that does not think or doesn't have the ethnic lens when it comes to appointment. Loyalties are there, but why would you just appoint people based on he supported me? Even when it comes to service, it's not time for elections. It's time to serve. Serve people, appoint people who have an added value to the agenda of the country when it comes to development. Not basis of Gujiri supported me, but you don't look at the qualification of Gujiri. You know, this country needs to move forward, and that's why we are struggling. I'll give an example. Go to Tanzania. Tanzania, even minorities are able to have someone to serve as a president. I'll give an example. Wait, I explain.
Yes.
I'll give an example, Magufuli. He came from a very small ethnic group, but he was able to serve as head of state.
Okay.
In Kenya, if we use the issue of numbers, it means there are ethnic groups who will never see state house, who will never be able to occupy that top leadership. So if we drop these tribal lens or ethnic lens, Kenya will be able to reshape itself and move forward. But if we continue, even people who are elected, people who are supposed to be elites, they are still dragged and soiled on the tribal or ethnic lens. That is so unfortunate. I feel disappointed when I see or perturbed when I hear people talking of ethnic, this and this. And if you look at the profiling, I've given a good example, the PS appointments, 70% went to one ethnic group, 20% was shared by the others. So is that what we want to say?
That's not true.
No, I have it. You can go to 2022 after appointment and you do the profiling. Then you do your math. You'll get the percentage.
He is a member of parliament, and I want to ask him, because we talk what we are not doing. You are a member of parliament.
I have a question.
The chairman of your CDF, the secretary, the treasurer, and what? It is the people who are surrounding you. That is the fact.
Not necessarily. Like now, I have a question in Parliament where I'm tasking the CS for planning to come and explain how come when it came to recruitment of KRI, the recent recruitees, they all 57% from two tribes. We need to explain because that contravened or went against the Constitution Article 10, Sabbatical 2,
we are not defending anything which is wrongfully done. You see?
All right,
we are not defending anything which is wrongfully done. Anything which is wrongfully done is a member of parliament. I've not seen him raise any substantive.
You said he's not given time to raise this.
No, I have a question in Parliament on ethnicity.
So if you have any matter which is substantively raised according to the standing orders of the National Assembly, then you ought to wait for the matter to be executed and dispensed with. Because you see, for us, we don't sit, personally, I don't sit on that in that parliament.
No, you can violate.
I will, but only when this matter shall have been dispensed with. So I'm not sitting there as we speak. What is there here is, one, if you go to your CDF, will you ever appoint as chairman of your CDF a person who was seen campaigning for that, who was opposing you?
Yes. If the person qualifies.
I know, I'm saying it's not possible. Even if I become member of parliament, I cannot appoint someone who a bit openly opposed to me.
Honorable
so
Kennedy,
when President William Ruto got to power,
Allow me, because we want to close this show. If you had somebody who was in the same vision with you, walked the journey and you got into power, and now supposedly there are speculations that you're drifting apart. Is that also possible?
Drifting apart to me? We are not
Gachagua in yet another tiff over military chopper. There's a concern about this
Gachagua, for me, I want to tell you this issue of Gachagua. This issue of Gachagua is simply politics being played beyond what it's supposed to be played.
Whom?
Gachagua is the deputy president of Kenya, and he has done his part well, as delegated any duty by the president. I've not seen where he has not done his work right. And in fact, even these individuals who are coming up in central central Kenya have got a right to come up, like Nidi Nyoro, Kimani Chungwa. He is not allowed to stop anyone from coming up. The only thing that is here is his constitutional mandate. Does he really perform his constitutional mandate? And has his constitutional mandate ever been usurped or otherwise taken by any other individual? No. No one has gone to the office of the deputy president. So it is just politics being created, people struggling to find how they can find fault with Ruto and the coming of Raila going to AU. They are trying to build a mountain out of an anthill. Let us just allow the coalition to rule. It is only 1 or 2 years since they took power. There's a lot that's supposed to be done. You are seeing the president is trying to get how to control us as a country from going into several debts. Let us give President William Ruto and his deputy a time, so that if there's a problem, don't worry. When the bottles are together, they have to hit each other. Doesn't mean that they will break.
Right.
This thing will be sorted at the right time, and the president, in his wisdom, will have his deputy president settle down together with all those who are walking around, and they will be at peace.
All right.
Let opposition not tell us how the government should be run, because they're actually in opposition.
Honorable Gujuri, I want you to speak on this clip, gentlemen, even as we, you did not allow me enough time to speak on this matter between the deputy and the president, the ethnicity.
There's no problem between the president and the deputy.
That is what you say. You're
Yes.
UDA coordinator.
Yes. We are very peaceful. We are very peaceful.
Some time back, in the past national prayer breakfast, President William Ruto, then Deputy President, said these words, and then we could have that as we close, and of course hear your closing remarks, gentlemen. Let's look at this clip.
Your forgiveness. I also know that serving as deputy president, I may have fallen short of expectations of my boss, His Excellency the President, my good friend. I ask for your forgiveness.
I'll let you use this moment for your closing remarks.
Yes, what I would say, this is the way.
That is the way.
Even you, if you are married, you have sometimes problem with your husband, but small things. But you sort it out as you are going. This thing comes, and don't forget the devil is there. The devil is live. And that's why Jesus gave us power to play, to chase the devil. And what the deputy did by that time, that even now, what we want, as my brother is saying, there might be some small problems, but we are going to sit together as the house and sort out that problem. But we know there are some people who are very happy when it is happening that way. But we are praying God that these two people, if there is anything, even the party, to come together and see how we can achieve the way forward on forgiveness. Forgiveness is the best thing we have been given by God. Let me tell you, there is a prayer. When a preacher preaches, you hear a woman from the other side or somebody from there said, tuombe maombi ya mwisho. What does that prayer says? Mungu wetu ulio mbinguni tusamehe dhambi zetu kama tunavyowasamehea wale wengine tunakaa na hawa. That prayer should be there for this country, so that we can be able to come together. Let's not be happy if this house comes down, all of us we are in problem. Even when you are talking about something different, my friend, you are still in this government. We are all independent, but we are not independent from the president.
All right, thank you very much, former Member of Parliament Bahati. That is the Honorable Kimani Njeri. Honorable Basil, for your closing remarks. Just 30 seconds.
First is people disagree to agree.
Yes.
This country need to move in a very united way moving forward. And as I've said, and I'm going to reiterate my statement, that we need to drop this ethnic lens and perceive or embrace each other as people of one mother, one father. Because the country belongs to all of us. We should not say, because I come from majority, I should carry the day. No. Doesn't matter where you come from. What matters is our country.
Right.
And that is where patriotism begins, because without that, we will not have patriots.
Thank you.
Because this country needs patriots.
We need more patriots. Thank you very much, Honorable Robert Basil, Member of Parliament, Yata, for your closing remarks. Kennedy Ondiek?
Yeah, personally, I want to say that as a country, we have to embrace the fact that not every time we are going to be happy with every actions which are taken by one particular individual for purposes of the fact that we cannot, at a given time, be similar. The President of the Republic of Kenya is William Samoei Ruto, and he knows that he has his deputy, DP Gachagua, who has done his part. Personally, I would wish to tell the leaders of Central Kenya that please give the Deputy President his opportunity to serve. If William Ruto would wish to change his deputy at a given time, it will come in 2027. We can never change a deputy president midway. So the best thing they can do is to prepare for 2027.
All right.
Meanwhile, let them respect, uphold the spirit of the Constitution of Kenya that provided that we must have a deputy president and who will serve with the president for a period of 5 years, upon which he may be replaced or continued with for the 10 years.
Thank you very much, Kennedy Ondiek, who is the South Nyanza Coordinator, UDA. And Kenyans watching, Haron saying Kimani Ngujiri has a point. Voters should be considered when resources are being shared. All right, case example, Bahati and Nakuru West. David Kahihu saying, kindly, Honorable Basil, please help us at Kangemi Primary School at Ndalani Ward. Please help, our classes are in bad situation. We don't have water at school, yet there is water at NYS Yata for gravity. Thank you very much. Evans Wainaina saying, when Gachagua was supporting Ruto, it was not tribal. When he was abusing Uhuru, his was not tribal. When he calls Kikuyu together, it's tribal. Ansema wacheni hiyo. Thank you very much, Evans. And remember the national anthem. O God of all creation, bless this our land and nation. Justice be our shield and defender. May we dwell in unity, peace and liberty. Plenty be found within our borders. And the late Saitoti said, a time will come when the country will be more important than any individual alive. My name is Anki Dorisumbat. Stay woke, think deeper, and do the